How to make basil pesto and my favorite recipes using pesto. This aromatic herb is high in vitamins A, C, and antioxidants. It is a natural antibiotic, reduces nausea from chemotherapy, and relaxes the intestinal muscles to relieve cramping and gas. It is also anti-inflammatory. Basil added to your bath helps to relieve aching muscles. Research shows basil in your diet will help prevent cancer. Now you can come back for other videos to learn how to make basil home remedies. Basil smells heavenly. At one time, we were the largest growers of organic basil in Texas. We sold to all the Whole Foods here in Texas. When I would walk into the bank after harvesting basil, the whole bank could smell the wonderful aroma of basil when I walked in the door. But basil is not tasty to eat in large quantities, to munch on, or to eat as a salad. So I enjoy basil by making a basil pesto. Join me today in making my famous Dogwood Gardens basil pesto. Thank you for joining me today at Family Guide to Herbs Online School. I'm Carolyn Gibson, family herbalist, organic farmer, massage therapist, and I will be your instructor and guide today. When we sold to Whole Foods, I would package basil in a 3-ounce package, and I would have this recipe on the back of the bag so everybody could make the pesto. We also gave out samples when we go to Whole Foods and do demos. We need 3 cups of fresh basil, or about 3 ounces, a whole bulb of garlic, or about 1 ounce, 2/3 to 3/4 cups of olive oil, more or less, 1/2 to 3/4 cup of grated Parmesan cheese, depending on how fine the grate is, and an optional 3 tablespoons of Romano cheese, 1/2 cup of chopped walnuts or pine nuts if you prefer, or really any other nut, a pinch of salt, and 1 teaspoon of lemon juice. Okay, now we're ready to make my famous Dogwood Gardens basil pesto. Now, of course, we're going to start with with basil. Now, this is about 3 cups packed, or somewhere around 3 ounces. Now, we have a full bulb of garlic and 2/3 to 3/4 cups of olive oil, some chopped walnuts, and 1/2 cup of Parmesan cheese. Now, you could make this just a little bit better if you had a little Romano cheese to add to that, maybe say 3 tablespoons. We need a little lemon juice, keep it from turning dark, and a pinch of salt. Now, when you need a food processor, or you could use a blender, but a food processor just makes it a little bit easier. Now, when you've got your basil and you're trying to figure out how much of this do I use, all of these usually have a little Y, and you're usually just going to tear it off like that. Now, when it's really young, you can go ahead and get the little knot, but if it's a little older like this is, I'm not going to get the knot. I'm just going to clip it just right above that knot. Now, when basil is really young in the early spring, you can get more of the stems, but right now it's gotten older. The stems are a little more woody, so I don't want to use the stems. Now, this is just as simple. I'm going to put my garlic in there. I'm going to put my basil leaves in there. And basil really starts turning black when you start messing with it. And then I'm going to put my olive oil. And just a pinch of salt. Put a little bit more. And maybe a capful of lemon juice. I'm going to get a spatula and just kind of put it down like that. absolutely love garlic, like my family does, you could actually take a rasp or a grater and grate your garlic in there, and you wouldn't have the chunks of garlic. Okay, now I'm ready to add my walnuts. Traditionally, pesto was made with pine nuts. But here when I first started making this, pine nuts was not that available down here, so I started using walnuts. And I think everybody really prefers the walnuts to the pine nuts. And I'm ready to add my Parmesan cheese. Now, depending on how chunky you like your basil, you could add a little more olive oil to make it not. See, this is really pretty thick. And you could actually add just a little bit more olive oil to make it more like a sauce. Okay, now I'm ready to just put this up into some containers. I can't use it all at one time. So I will just put it in some smaller containers where I can freeze part of it and use part of it today. And then later I'll be showing you my favorite ways to use basil pesto. And there you've got my basil pesto. Okay, now once you make your pesto, what are you going to do with it? Well, my favorite thing to do with it is to make a pasta pesto salad. And you want to put warm pasta in here. And it's just a matter of taking your pesto, mixing it in. So you need your pasta to be warm so the pesto will mix real good. And depending on how much you love pesto, depends on how much you want to put in there. You just want to coat it real good. Now you would put this in the refrigerator and let it get good and chilled, because it really wouldn't be that good if it was warm. Okay, now that's pretty darn good by itself. You could add sun-dried tomatoes to it. You could add fresh chopped tomatoes to it. And if you wanted to really make a meal out of it, you could add cold grilled chicken to it. And that is my favorite way to eat pesto. Okay, my next favorite thing to do with pesto is to just spread it on a baguette. And just eat it. I can eat it with a salad. I can eat it with chicken Alfredo, eat it with various Italian foods. It's really good by itself, just like this, to make a great appetizer. This is really something you need to try. There are just so many ways to use basil pesto. You can spread it on pizza, sandwiches, vegetables, or use to season your favorite sauce. Thank you so much for joining me today, and if you wish to see more of these videos, like and subscribe to my channel. Leave a comment section. Have you tried basil pesto? How many ways do you enjoy basil pesto? Now, for the last 30 years, all of our income has come from our organic farm here in East Texas. Now, we're 100 miles from Dallas, and our little community of around 400 still considers chicken fried steak, mashed potatoes, and gravy a health food. And they just do not understand our lifestyle. They still laugh at us at what we are doing, especially since our main crop is growing wheatgrass and growing vegetables and foraging for herbs from our woods, and to sell into the florist industry. Now, we need your support by subscribing and liking our channel, and visit FamilyGuideToHerbs.com for your guide to natural home remedies. Thank you so much.